In this video, I'm going to break down my entire coaching program at Prodigy Athletics, how we do things for our athletes, why we do them, and the philosophy behind the engine that builds hockey athletes at a high level. And if you stick around to the end, I have an insane bonus for you. I still can't believe that I'm giving it away for free, but stick around to the end. It will blow your mind and change your life. But for now, let's dive in. So when we bring on a new athlete, the first thing that we do before anything else is we start them in their onboarding call. And that purpose of that onboarding call is to get hyper clear around what it is the athlete has in their going on in their life in terms of demands for school, for work, for off ice training, for their team practices, for obligations around, volunteering, commitments, clubs, anything like that. I want to know the full schedule. And the reason for that, I just want to pull it up here. So the reason for that is then we know with more certainty what it is that the athlete is necessarily going through. And I like having that full context because then we have more levers to pull in terms of performance and plateaus, right? So if I just give you a training plan and say, hey, it's 4 days a week, make sure you do it, right? But you're already skating 5 days a week. You're already, off ice training with your team 2 days a week. You've got games on the weekends. Like you're working a job. For me to put that on you is completely unreasonable, unfair, and setting you up to fail. So that's why the schedule, part of the reason why the schedule is important. In terms of other questions, because we're going to dive into more on the schedule later of how we build it and why it works, we talk about nutrition. So I want to know what the athlete's goals are. Do they want to gain weight or maintain weight? Very seldom do I run into an athlete where they're trying to lose weight. And honestly, if they are, that's usually where I push back because a lot of the athletes that I work with are youth, ages 12 to 18, sometimes older, but for the most part between that range. Recommending someone in that age range to lose weight is a dangerous game. So it would have to be a special edge case. Not saying I won't do it, but at first glance, it's not my first recommendation. So we talk about nutrition. And that's where I get their allergies, their food preferences, what they're already eating that they like, any sort of constraints that come from their schedule that, maybe they're away from home a lot. Maybe they don't have a ton of resources or access to be able to cook food. Maybe they can't really meal prep. Maybe they're not in the best billet situation, or they have a dorm and rely a lot on cafeteria food. Any sort of situations around that might make nutrition, getting proper energy and fuel, more difficult for them. And then their training. Again, it loops back to the schedule. We want to know what they're already doing for training, what more they want to be doing, what they feel they have capacity for. And then what do they have access to? Do they have a gym at school? Do they have a gym at home? Do they live near a gym? Do they not have anything like that? Are they just limited to bands and body weight at home? And then we brainstorm, we collaborate. Okay, how can we get you more access to a gym in a reasonable way if it's not already something you have, right? So that we can build a program that works, that fits your life and develops you. And then lastly, we talk about goals. Goals is super important on many, many levels because if you don't have clear goals, you're not really working towards anything. You're simply just working for the sake of working. And that's when you get caught in the trap of playing, like, I just want to play at the highest level I can. It's like, well, if you don't define what that is, there's no real metric for success there. You're just trying for the sake of trying. And when you have a clear, tangible goal, something that you really want to work towards, something that you see yourself living out in the future, it makes everything else a lot easier to buy into, a lot easier to follow, and a lot easier to be consistent with because you're working towards something specific. So let's dive into what that looks like. After we collect all this information in the onboarding call, this is where my heavy lifting starts. So I always start with building the schedule first because it gives me the clarity that I need to build out the rest of the plan. And this is something that I find very valuable that I haven't even really seen many other coaches do. So I'm just going to use a test schedule from what I built. So I start in an Excel sheet. Oh, spoiler alert. I start in an Excel sheet, blank sheet like this. Now I've got this sheet set up so that it's clear. I guess this is a template that has Cooper's name on it. That's okay. And I've got all of this conditionally formatted to fill in these and color code them based on what they have in their day. Right. And then, so if they're doing class, practice, games, training, video, if they have long commutes, that can be really important. All their meals, so breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner, pregame, top up, when it's bedtime, lights out. I'm very stern on that. Prep for next days is also important. I'm a big believer in making sure you're prepared the day before, so there are fewer surprises that come up. Life happens, but if you can prevent it, let's try to. Study hall. If you have a study hall that you have to go to, or if you have time allotted that you need to study, rest and sleep. And then a daily habit that I like to implement is wake, water, creatine, mobility. And wake, obviously you need to wake up. Water, start your day with hydration. Creatine should be a daily staple anyways, so having the reminder helps. And mobility, typically optional, but I like to start with some just to get out of bed and feel like you're ready for the day rather than walking around stiff, because we all know athletes can get pretty sore sometimes. So I take that and I build it into a schedule. I'm going to snap my fingers in a cool way and show you what it looks like when it's done. So when it's filled in, it looks like this, right? So for this example, we've got, sleeping until about 7:30, which is nice. Wake, water, creatine, mobility, breakfast, off to class. Every day is the same day. Try and keep lunch consistent, classes consistent. All of the blue is your food, your meal reminders, your cues of when to eat. So we've got snacks scattered throughout before training, pre-game and a snack before game. The reason I don't have like a top up is because there's a bit of a time constraint there getting from class. So it's just like we only really have time for the pre-game, right? Dinner before practice, making sure we're eating after every physical session. So practice, training, snack, and then trying to keep bedtime as consistent as we can. Now, for the weekends, game times are always going to vary. So I like to try like an afternoon game example and an evening game example. Not a hard follow. That's going to change, and that's where really the coaching part comes in. Is like, how do we teach you this philosophy so that you can come up with it on your own? Because you don't want to be trapped to this schedule for the rest of your life. Or if your schedule changes, you're in trouble. Now, once we have the schedule built, this is what I base the nutrition plan off of. So when we're having different meals throughout the day, what we have before, what we have after, how long we're going without eating, that all goes into the plan that I build for the nutrition plan. Again, because I want you to be able to follow it. And I want it to be easy for you to follow. The blue is the meal plan, and then the orange is training. So I slot in. So again, once I have clarity on the schedule, we can slot in how many days you can reasonably train, depending on what you want as well. So that's always a mix of like goals and training. So for here, this is a different example. I just made it up as a test, but we'd be training Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, right? We also have group calls Wednesday evenings as a team. We bring all the athletes together. It's a great community. We learn something, do open Q&A. Anyone who has something, that we couldn't quite cover in the one-on-ones that they want to bring up in a group and go deeper on, we talk about that. It's also a great chance to see other athletes who are sharing the same goals and sharing the same standards. Because as much as hockey is a team sport, when you have high standards and you look around the room and you think to yourself, like, I want it more than everyone else here, or I'm working harder than everyone else, or no one cares as much as I do, the training that you do outside of your team can get very lonely. And that's where your environment can drag you down. So having group calls with other athletes who have shared high standards and expectations of themselves is a breath of fresh air and a real refresher that like you're not crazy for having high standards. All right. Now that we have the schedule built, let's dive deep into the nutrition plan. Again, we have to refer to the notes that we had here that we took from the onboarding call so we know how we want to set up their macros, like how many calories they're eating, how much protein they're getting. And I do that here. So I'll go into goals and habits. Oh, right, current goal, set a new goal, daily nutrition goal. Always want to go calories and full macros. This is where we get a profile. So based on, activity for our athletes, that's always going to be very active, their current weight. And then we look at how much, if they want to gain weight or not. Usually they're trying to gain half a pound to a pound per week. So we'll just do a pound for this example. Puts us at 34.55. I always round up, so we'll call it 3,500. Right? Roughly a gram per pound body weight. So set that to a little over 200. 210's fine. And then fat, I typically do around 0.4 grams per pound body weight. So can't really do the math. That'd be probably about 80 grams. Yeah, 80 grams for 200. Right, and then we fill in the rest with carbs. Now, track meal details in-app. There's an in-app meal tracker so that you can track your nutrition. And then save. Now, I want to point out something here and just pause for a minute, because with the schedule that we built, I've never seen another coach do that. And it's something that I find very important. Also with the nutrition plan that I'm about to show you, what a lot of coaches will do that I find really frustrating is they'll tell you that they're going to give you a nutrition plan, or they'll tell you they give you a meal plan, or they'll tell you they give you nutrition coaching, and all they do is just literally just set your macros and say like, hey, here's the target you need to hit, go and hit it. I've even hired coaches where that was all they did for me, and I was like, are you serious? Like, what am I paying you for? And it just felt so frustrating. So that's why I'm so against it. Another thing that some coaches will do is they'll just go meal plan, and they'll use AI and create a smart meal plan. Watch this. This is ridiculous. And they'll just go start 3,500, balanced, 6 meals a day, 7 days a week, no preferences, right? And create. Replace it? Sure. And then you just get this absurdly complex meal plan of like a bunch of choices, but then you're stuck in like this insane overwhelm, and it's not helpful at all. Because like really, like let's look at this. Like, am I gonna be eating like, what is that? How do you say that? Silber for breakfast, and pumpkin protein balls for a snack, and easy lasagna soup for lunch, and pumpkin protein cookies, and beef lettuce tacos, and tofu protein balls? Like, find me an athlete or a family who has the time to make this every day. It doesn't happen. So it's like, what's the point of giving you a meal plan if it's completely useless? And it's like, I understand that software is helpful and it can make things easier on the coach's side, but as a coach, we're doing you a disservice if we're giving you something you're not going to use. That said, that's why I don't use this fancy software at all, because as cool as it is to be able to generate a meal plan like that, it's not actually useful. So we're just going to go ahead and delete, just so I don't have to look at it. And that's where meal plan PDF comes in. But first we have to build the PDF. So usually I duplicate them all so it's easier. So I don't have to start from scratch every single time, but I do still make it specific to the athlete. Now I already made this one, again, I just copied it from another athlete just for the sake of showing an example. But I've built this database of a ton of foods. And I love showing this tool because all of this calculates your macros for your meal, for every meal that it is. I've got the names. I got the names, and then you get your total daily macros as well. And it all fits on a one-page PDF. So you can print it off, put it on your fridge, give it to your parents, give it to your billet. Like, it becomes useful. And I always try to make it fit as close as I can to the macros that we set based on the goals that you have, in tandem with making it easy and simple to prepare. Especially if I have an athlete who's at an academy, they're in a dorm, they don't have access to a ton of food. So like, that's the example I pulled up here. Or like, they're on the go a lot and they're not cooking a ton, right? So here, what I did for this athlete was like fruit in the morning, overnight oats. Now, I guess to outline the constraint here, why this is different is they have a microwave, they don't have a fridge, they can't cook, they're in a cafeteria, so they have access to the cafeteria, but they do have a freezer, and their mom lives nearby. So, but not with them. So I did this so all of the white doesn't need to be refrigerated. They can keep it in their dorm room. All of the yellow is frozen and meal prepped because they said their mom would help them meal prep and bring it to them. So we did that. So now it's like, hey, we've hit your macro goals. We've got a plan together so that if the cafeteria is closed or you run into some issue where you don't get to go to the cafeteria, you still have a plan that you can follow so you can hit your goals fuel wise. Right? So it's like, here we have 4 different ideas for things that can be frozen and meal prepped. And again, they don't have to eat that every time if they have access to the cafeteria. But the point of having a strong plan is that the plan will hold up when life gets chaotic or when you hit unexpected things. That's what the plan is for. And then same sort of thing with coaching. After I build the plan, I meet with the athletes after so that we know, 1, we know they can follow it. 2, they know the philosophy behind it's built, because when you know how it works, you're more likely to use it. And then 3, they can start to learn how to come up with these ideas themselves or make replacements on their own when they get tired. Right? Like, 2 bananas, 6 dates, 2 oranges every day. You're probably going to want variety at some point, and I get that. We also adjust meal plans down the road too, but I don't want to get into that too much right now, just for the sake of keeping this video fairly short. But yeah, so once we build that plan out, then we make it a PDF, same sort of thing. 1-page PDF. Reason being, you can print it off, you can put it on your fridge, you can give it to billets. Yeah, you can use it as a grocery list. Like, it's very much more versatile than having just like a list of 36 different meal ideas that all take 20 to 30 minutes to prepare. Right. So now we've covered the schedule, we've covered the nutrition plan. Finally, we do the strength plan and conditioning. So again, we come back to the notes, look at their strength, look at their training. What are they doing now? What do they have room for? What are their goals? What do they have access to in terms of equipment? And then we build out a plan that fits that. So looking at the schedule, I don't have it up right now, but looking at the schedule, it's like, okay, if they're going to the gym after school and they have a full access to a gym, we're going to put gym-based sessions there, because obviously if we have access to more weight, we want to use more weights. If they're stuck at home or they want to get extra sessions in at home, they don't have access, they only have like some dumbbells and bands, then we're going to give them just like dumbbells and bands sessions. If they're going on a road trip, we'll just do maybe they're going on the road trip but they're not playing, and the hotel gym's a little bit dodgy, so they just have like bands and body weight. We build stuff around that. The point that I'm making here is that the plan, I don't like to use the word flexible, I like to use the words dynamic. So the plan is dynamic, and how it looks today may be different from how it looks, obviously will be different how it looks, a couple months down the road, because you're going to progress. Your access to equipment might change. Your schedule demands might change. All that said, like, we have to be able to build plans as we go. And that's why I like to build this first plan around the schedule, is then you have, again, more buy-in because it fits into your life. Right. And that's where what I've seen other coaches do that bothers me so much is you buy their program and they've already got the plan built before they know anything about you. Like, they don't know what your constraints are. They don't know what access you have to equipment. Like, they don't know what you care about working on. Like, if you're struggling with specific areas of strength, if you're out of shape and you need more conditioning, like, there's no way a coach can know that without talking to you. So it's like, if you're buying a plan, or if you have already bought a plan and you get it as soon as you click purchase, it's like, is that really the right plan for you? I'm not sure. Like, it's probably better than nothing, but is it the right plan? Who knows? And with that, it's like, different athletes respond to different stimulus over time. So like, if you're a well-trained athlete, you've been in the gym a lot, you're recovering really well, like you very much likely need more volume than someone who's not training that much, or is new to training, or even younger. And I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole. Just I want to make the illustration that for a coach to, give you a plan that's made before they know you, and also be able to plan something out for you, like a full off-season plan where they have all 20 weeks just mapped out, it doesn't make sense. Like I don't see a way where you can simply prescribe exercises, sets, and reps without seeing any kind of athlete. Because we need to know, are they overtraining? Are they undertraining? Are they adapting appropriately? And adjusting and tweaking and getting feedback that way. I guess that's where I'm going is plans that are fixed and static and don't provide feedback are very limited in their capabilities to help you. So that's my philosophy. One man's opinion. I get it. But yeah, after building the training program, we build it out. I usually do, anywhere from 4 to 6 week mesocycles, typically five for this case. And I build that around, again, the schedule. If there's things coming up, like you have playoffs, if you have the off season, if you're just coming back into season, if you have an exam week or midterm week, we try to plan deloads around that. Just the training stress is lower, so you can focus on other things. If you've got a holiday coming up, we'll try and plan around a holiday. All sorts of things like that to make sure that you get to live your life and have big goals. I believe you can have it all if you are structured and disciplined and have a well-supported plan. So that covers the strength. And then after this, so this is the 3 key pillars that I start things out with. So schedule, nutrition, and strength. And then from there, we review the plan, we start executing on the plan, and then we meet regularly. So we have a sweet community here at Prodigy where we, like I said before with the schedule, we host group calls. I already mentioned the reasons why that's so important in terms of being with others who have shared standards, who have high expectations, who want big things, who feel like they're working harder than others in the room. It's an opportunity to be in a different room that you aren't physically in. We also run challenges. I love, so right now we're in the middle of a 6-week habit mastery challenge. And we had it on the line where the winner gets a $100 Lululemon gift card, and anyone who beats the coach gets another $50 gift card and gets to choose a punishment for me. So let's check in on where the leaderboard's at right now. Yeah, not a chance of letting anyone beat me. Not when punishment's on the line, that's for sure. So yeah, so we do the development. We also have a community with the group calls, with the challenges, and the learning resources. I have a community on school as well. So in the classroom, we've got different courses. So like an ironclad mindset course, a bonus day, so scouting and recruiting mastery, where I want to build these out in such a way that I can help more athletes get to the goals that they want with certainty and clarity, and just be able to shut out all of the noise that they see on Instagram and trust a source. That's the mission, is giving athletes certainty and a clear path to development, to feel like they have a place to come and learn, to come and ask questions, and to come and build their leadership skills. Like if you build a strong leader, an athlete will naturally follow. As I mentioned, these courses are available to athletes only, and we're building out more and more courses all the time. Now, since you stayed to the end, if you're not an athlete that's part of Prodigy already, these courses are hidden behind paywalls. Like you have to pay to get them. But since you stayed to the end, I'm going to give you 48 hours of access for free to everything that's behind here. In order to do that, to the Intentional Edge on school.com and apply. And in your application, you'll be asked a couple of questions. Under any one of the questions you want, make one of your answers, I came from YouTube. And if you do that, I will know to give you 48 hours of VIP access. So you can or want to, in order to, take advantage, learn more, apply more. The only thing that I ask is if you are going to go through this and take advantage of having these for free for 48 hours, is that you actually do the work. Like there's worksheets, there's modules, there's different sort of frameworks and exercises. Like you have to actually do that to make it worth it. Otherwise, I'm giving this to you for nothing. And then we're not really helping each other. So that's it for this video. Behind the curtain of Prodigy Athletics, how we build everything, how we develop our athletes, how we're building a stronger and stronger community all the time, and really tweaking and refining what hockey development looks like on a deeper level, because we're all working hard, we're all training, we're all on the ice. So we need to find ways to differentiate ourselves to still improve faster and access more opportunities that we want, because we all have big goals. We all want big things. So we need to focus on what actually separates us. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. Hope to see you joining the school community. And I would love nothing more than for you to take advantage of 48 hours of VIP access and use it to get scouted for this coming season.